So anyway, next match is for the U.S. Championship. We're doing match number 4. So, tell me all about Rusev here.
Alright, if all else here, she knows. Alright, so you guys know I'm not a Cena fan.
Hold on one second. Thug, no spaces in the name of the thing. It doesn't have to be specific, just put... You can even just put Page, and I'll know it'll be that team, but you can't have spaces in the name. So I... Exclamation point, bet 2, AJ Lee and Page as one word. You can really just put Page, because it's writing to a text file for me. I'll know. That works too, AJ Lee / Page, but you can't put spaces in the name. Sorry, go ahead. Rusev.
So, yeah, you guys know I'm not a Cena fan, obviously. I'm in here hating on Cena all the time.
It's because you have no taste.
This
but, you know.
match, I've been circling around on this match so much. Not so much flip-flopping, it's just there's so many what-ifs and what's the point. Kind of like we were talking about the last match, the Rumble. You know, this guy wins, where does it go from here? That's kind of what I've been more dwelling on. I think about the U.S. title, man. To me, it hasn't been relevant in a long time. Like, I think the last time I was actually interested in it was, you know, back when, you know, guys like Benoit and stuff had it. I'm sure there's been plenty of good champions. Like I said, that belt's had a long history of champions, like really marquee ambassadors of wrestling, guys like Ric Flair, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, etc. But I don't know, I just feel like the belt's been kind of out of touch in recent years. With that being said, in my opinion, I feel like Rusev winning this match, he has everything to gain. And Cena doesn't really do much for Cena, in my opinion, if he wins this match. You know, and my biggest concern is if Rusev loses here, how does he lose to keep him relevant? Like, you know, because a lot of guys have been fed to Cena in the past and they've totally fallen off. Look at Bray Wyatt last year. Look at Ryback a couple years ago. They get fed to Cena and then they're kind of out of the mix for a few months. And then obviously a big thing with Rusev is the streak. Rusev's got to lose eventually. And if he's going to lose the streak, this is as good a time as ever, in my opinion, for him to lose it. This is as good of a spot as any. So with all that being said, like I said, I've been around on this. I'm going to be jumping around on it, but I think Cena wins this match. I think it's just going to be your typical American hero win, you know, kind of standard vanilla storyline. Cena wins. I thought Rusev would lose at Fastlane. I told you this at the time, knowing that Cena would probably win at Mania. The only thing that makes me worried is how does that impact Rusev going forward? Because if Rusev wins this match, then I think you promote the title. Not that Cena can't, but I think Rusev gets boosted. He becomes a really monster heel. He can start new feuds going forward, and he can become that real monster heel that WWE really needs. And not to kind of think forward, but if Cena has the U.S. title and Daniel Bryan has the Intercontinental title, is that really what WWE wants? Like, I mean, I could picture it. I don't have anything wrong with it. I just question is this really the path WWE is going for? Would they want Bryan and Cena some higher tiers competing for the heavyweight title? So, like I said, there's just so many hypotheticals, but I could go on this one for days. But in my opinion, I think Cena wins. I would like to see Bray win. I think it does everything for Bray, or not Bray, everything for Rusev and nothing for Cena. But like I said, I don't see Cena losing here. I think Cena takes this one for sure.
All right. Well, I don't disagree with you. There are points that I disagree with, though. First of all, I agree with you that I agree with you that the U.S. title has been irrelevant for a long time. I agree that his streak needs to end, and I agree that now is a very good time to do it, and honestly, Cena is a good person to do it too. I personally believe that
it's a safe loss.
This was the original plan set up to bring Kurt Angle over when his contract expired, and he re-signed with TNA. And so you couldn't bring him back to that Real American. They decided to give it to John Cena, who's always supporting the troops, and he's the face of the company and all that. So I completely agree with all that. Now, one person that would argue against would say some of the things that you were saying. What does that do for the title? Why do you give it to Cena? Are you really downgrading Cena? Well, you said earlier you don't really look at the other options. You don't look at what other matches and stuff, and that's what I try to do. Now, I'm not saying that this plays into how I think other matches are going to go, but my brother brought up a suggestion. If they give the U.S. title to Cena and the Intercontinental title to Bryan, and let Lesnar keep the world title and only show up every 3 or 4 months, doesn't the Intercontinental title and U.S. title become big enough to main event the pay-per-views now? If Cena and Bryan are the ones that are defending them?
Maybe not main event, but marquee.
Well, if there is, what I'm saying is, if there is no world title match because Brock Lesnar is not going to fight him like he hasn't for the last 6 to 8 months, and you're already going to have John Cena versus whatever as the main event, if you have the Intercontinental title in it or the U.S. title in it, doesn't that make it a little better of a main event because at least the title is being defended? Kind of like how UFC or boxing does it. The champion doesn't fight every week. A champion fights every event, but not the champion fights it. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, so I didn't realize you were talking Raw SmackDown. I thought you were talking pay-per-view.
Well, I'm talking pay-per-view too. I'm talking pay-per-view too. If you look at it from a standpoint of after WrestleMania, let's say WrestleMania, Brock Lesnar keeps the title, and then at the next pay-per-view, your main event is John Cena defending his U.S. title versus Seth Rollins or something like that. If there's no world title involved, doesn't that match get a little better if at least he's defending the U.S. title than if they're just fighting?
It's better.
So if they move them up and they slowly change our mindset to that these are the belts and that we only see Brock Lesnar part time because he is the world champion, he doesn't have to fight all the time, which is what they've been doing for 6 to 8 months. That's just one mindset that he had. I don't necessarily like that. I thought of it a different way. What happens if you give John Cena, I've been saying for a while now, since they combined the belts for the world title, I want what it used to be. The mindset of, and wow, you're right, we ended up talking about this a lot longer than we wanted to because I'm getting into wrestling theory and the makeup of a federation now. But when there was one world title, and I've talked about this a lot, so I'm not going to go into it in too depth. There used to be an Intercontinental title, which was the trial belt to move you onto the world. The great Intercontinental champions, Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels, Ultimate Warrior, all became world titles because their Intercontinental title reign was amazing. Whereas other people who were just kind of, we had the belt, but we were mid-carders and we weren't doing anything with it. People like Mr. Perfect or Honky Tonk Man, people like that are known as great Intercontinental champions, but never won the world title because they never really did what those other guys did. It was a platform to see what they could do. Well, when they got 2 world titles, they turned the world title belt into that Intercontinental belt, and everything got shifted around. They brought in a second Intercontinental belt, called it the U.S. title, because it came from WCW, got rid of the European title, and they didn't need that low-level belt because the Intercontinental title became that low-level belt. Well, now that we're back to the one title belt, the Intercontinental title needs to go back to that main launching platform, and the U.S. belt needs to drop down and become the European title that it was. Whether they change the name of it or whatever. Combine the 2 titles and just bring the U.S. title back. The European title back. Something. But they have to create that tier system again. Otherwise, everyone that's Daniel Bryan or Dolph Ziggler is fighting for these belts, and there's nothing for Kofi Kingston to do. So they have to create that tier system. And I've been claiming that they need to do that by giving the U.S. belt to R-Truth or something like that, and letting Daniel Bryan and Ziggler have the Intercontinental belt. Well, what if they've just flip-flopped and said, we can do it with just the other way? Give the belt to John Cena, and in the same event, give the Intercontinental belt to R-Truth. And now that split has happened. The U.S. belt is the launching platform. John Cena loses it to Sheamus, or he loses it to Seth Rollins, and he becomes a U.S. champion, but he got it from Cena, and he's fighting all world level guys. And then, wow, Rollins did good with it. Let's give him the world title. Loses it to Ambrose. Ambrose tries it out. Ambrose fails. They never give him a world title shot. But it's that launching platform they need to have. And I'm wondering if their thought process is by giving it to John Cena, we're just going to do that with the U.S. belt. So that's just one of the... Dark Rage is back. Welcome back, Dark Rage. Kiss Rocks, I'm not answering anything but WrestleMania today. We'll talk about that on Monday if you'd like. From that mindset, no matter how I look at it, there is zero chance, and there's no such thing as zero chance. Because last year there was zero chance Brock Lesnar was beating Lesnar. There's zero chance Rusev wins this match. John Cena has to win this match. And because of that, I say to you guys, there is zero chance Lesnar beats Undertaker. Everyone knows John Cena is winning this match. And that is why Rusev can win this match. Yes. I don't know, and I'm still betting on Lesnar. But I think it needs to be John Cena 1 gets you 1. Rusev 1 gets you 6. 1 gets you 7. Something like that.
I think that's about right. If you're about to say 20, I was going to tell you I'm picking, Cena's my prediction. If he can be 21, I'm taking Rusev.
Right, and I agree. But we're gonna go with 1 gets you 7.
6 or 7's right.
Yeah. So.
I agree with everything you said about the tiers of the belts. Like I said, it puts a lot of spotlight on the U.S. title again. Also helps with the tiers with the Intercontinental. My biggest worry is what happens to Rusev from there on.
So, Punk, or any of you guys, Punk, I just spoiling his picks. I'm not spoiling your picks. I'm just telling you how it is. For any of you guys that have already made a bet, Fever Ryan, you bet on John Cena, and then you bet on Rusev, and then you want to change to Cena. I suggest you wait until the end till you hear everything we say, because we might change your opinion, and wait until we put the odds up, because you might believe that Cena's going to win, but you may only believe by this much, and if you only believe by this much, and we're giving you a 1 gets you 7 on the other one, in your eyes, it's worth the risk to bet on Rusev. So I would wait until we get to the end and we put up the odds.
Yeah, show the bet numbers.
Sorry, the bet's numbers are hidden because I was trying to get all the way over for the... There we go.
This one's 6, right?
This is actually 4. This is 4. I flip-flopped it. Guys, if you see, it's actually bet number 4.
Because we're talking a different order. Okay.
Because we're talking... Yeah, I have it in the other sheet as the 4th match. We're talking. I want to do it in the order we're talking, and I forgot to flip-flop it on this. I did on the Excel. So...